Hello and welcome to Cal Conversations. I'm Beth Hadfield, the activity coordinator at the Center for Active Living. This week, I will be introducing you to our wellness and fitness instructors. They have a lot of good information to share with you and what to expect if you have not taken their class before. Sit back and enjoy learning what they and we have to offer. Hi. I'd like to welcome my next instructor, Sally Gwin, to the show. Hi, Sally. How are you?
Very well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Sally, I wanted to just ask you a couple of questions so we could get the community to have a little more information about Sit and Get Fit, which is the class that you teach here at the Center for Active Living. So my first question is, how long have you been a fitness instructor?
I've been a certified fitness instructor and personal trainer for over 25 years.
Wow.
My aerobics teaching career began at the Beth Israel in Boston Hospital, where I taught for many years. And my classes ranged from high intensity cardio express classes, step classes, and abdominal workouts and dance.
I have to chuckle. You said step classes, and it's so funny how far we've come from those days to today.
And it's interesting, Beth, that step is coming back.
I know. Isn't it great, though? Well, it's kind of like clothing. You know, it goes through its phases, but it all comes back.
It's interesting.
Sally, so I wondered if you could describe for everyone what your Sit and Get Fit class is like. So if they were going to join us here at the center, what would it be like and what would their experience be?
Well, my Sit and Fit classes are designed to strengthen and stretch all muscle groups while everyone is sitting in a chair. However, people do stand for this class as well. The classes are tailored to seniors. However, anybody can come. Everyone is welcome, any age. If somebody has a knee or a back or shoulder issue, and they do not feel that walking would or participating in a standing aerobics class would be possible for them, this class is an answer to continuing to get aerobic and strength training.
Awesome. So,
I'm sorry.
So how do you start with, is it the natural progression of things? Do you start with the warm up and then you have, you know, so many different exercises that you do and then you do a cool down?
Absolutely right. You have the progression. We do about a 5 to 10 minute warm up. It's usually 2 songs.
Okay.
Then we go into a more rhythmic, and the cadence of the moves are a little bit faster.
Okay.
However, I modify and I tell people how to modify if they would rather go slower or if they'd rather pick up their own pace.
Okay.
So I look around and I make sure that, you know, people are happy with the cadence of the class, the speed.
Okay. Okay.
It's also involved some strength training. So I work strength training not only into my moves on the chair, but at the last 5 to 10 minutes of the class, we do completely just all strength. And we use weights for that.
Okay.
I can explain a little bit more about.
Okay. Do you use bands too, or just weights?
For the Plymouth Center for Active Living, we've only been using weights,
Okay.
but I'm definitely a fan of bands. I think they're wonderful as well.
Okay. If someone were to come to this class for the very first time, what special instructions, if any, would you want them to know to make it the best experience possible?
I would tell them to wear nice, loose, comfortable clothes,
Okay.
have some very good, sturdy sneakers on. I think it's
Okay.
important their feet are in a solid environment. I would suggest that they bring a water bottle. If they also have weights at home, to bring them as well. If they don't have weights at home, and a lot of people don't, water bottles end up being a very good weight.
Okay.
Or people can also use their own personal resistance and strength train that way as well.
Okay. And the good part is we do have a very wide assortment of weights in our closet. So people can go from 1 pound to, 3 or 5 pounds if they're so inclined and need to.
It is a wonderful selection of weights that you have.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you would want anyone to know about your group?
Well, I think that most of the group, they seem to enjoy the classes. We try to make it as much fun as possible while we work out.
That's true.
I think that just exercise in and of itself makes you feel good. It raises your endorphins, and those are the things in your body that make you feel good. So I would hope that everyone would just feel relaxed and not too terribly challenged.
I agree. And I would like to make a comment that your music is always wonderful, uplifting, and most people know the words. So we are always singing along to the songs that you choose.
Beth, it's funny you say that, because often in class, I'll tell them that this is the sit and fit choir.
I 100% agree with that. I do. Sally, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you again soon.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to tell you about the classes. Take
Thanks.
care. Stay well.
Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're very glad to have you and have you teach with us all year long. Barbara, can you tell us a little bit of your background and how you came to be a yoga instructor? But you're even more than that, but I'm not sure how to describe you.
I like being indescribable, I guess, but I'm very qualified to be with the Council on Active Living, since I'm going to be 85 in a few months. And when I was 25, I had 2 kids, and I thought, is this all there is? And I found yoga, and it's been the staple of my life ever since. So we're talking about, 60 years almost.
Wow. We are very glad to have you as one of our instructors and to be part of our Cal family.
Thank you.
Barbara, could you describe breathing lessons if someone was going to just join your Zoom class to understand how you break it down, how long it is, and what you do while you're Zooming?
Well, while we're Zooming, we're doing what I hope we're doing all the time, which is breathing. And we take breath for granted. So I spend an hour just reviewing what it's like to be mindful of breath, to understand how important breath is for our emotional health, our mental health, and our physical health. And that the more conscious we are of our breath, the more conscious we are of being in the present moment. And it's very low key. Everybody is very relaxed, very centered. And I'm the first one to say that it's very self-serving for me too, because most of us, as I said, take our breath for granted. And it isn't until we find out that we have shortness of breath or something else untoward happens, we don't really realize the magnitude of what it means to be awake and aware that you're breathing in and breathing out.
So while we're breathing, how do you guide the class? Do you talk to us the whole time about what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on? How does that piece work?
Well, we do, there actually are breathing practices that are part of a yoga practice where there are different kinds of breaths that we learn to do. But I try to remind people that they're not just breathing in their belly or their chest, that there's an actual organ of respiration. And we do some of those breaths. I read a lot of poems sometimes. I am a lifelong learner, and I try to encourage people by sharing some of the things that I've read and thought about. And that when we breathe consciously, I remind people that's the only time that we're really in the present moment. Most of the time, those of us are either, annoyed and disgusted about something that happened yesterday, or looking forward to, or almost sometimes dreading what's coming in the future. So being here now is the most important thing.
I love that. I love that.
And breathing is the best medicine for life.
That's very true. That's very true. We would not be here without it.
No, that's for sure. And it's just 30 minutes of really, I think, total relaxation and hopefully inspiration, because we do live in fearful times. And I think that I do help, at least I know I help myself relieve some of my anxiety and fear about the future.
So this is a 30-minute class from 11 to 11:30.
Correct.
And if this were my very, very, very first class Zooming with you, is there anything that I should know or be prepared for in any way?
No, not at all. It'll just be giving yourself permission to really understand what it means to just settle into being where you are, and not a to-do list. There's really nothing to do except to be the breathing human being that you already are.
Awesome. Barbara, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. And I know that people will get something out of your breathing lessons if they were to join you. And just a reminder, breathing lessons is every Tuesday from 11 to 11:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth, for all you do.
Hi, today I'd like to welcome Kelly Pearson, our yoga flow instructor. Welcome, Kelly.
Thanks, Beth.
I'm glad to have you today. And today what I would like to do is talk a little bit about you and your yoga flow class. So let's start with your experience being a yoga instructor and how all of that came about.
Sure. So I got my yoga teacher training when I was living in Texas, probably around 2015, but I actually was trained as a yoga therapist first. And that certification I received in about 2010 or 2011, I believe. And that I did with Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy in Vermont. Now it's in Western Mass though. And so I was drawn to yoga because of the connection between body and mind. And that is something that I try to bring into all of the classes that I teach at this point.
Fantastic. So if you would be so gracious as to describe to us what a yoga flow class would be like. So I've never come and taken your class. Tell me what it would be like if I were to walk through the door on Wednesday.
Sure. So all of the yoga classes I teach are structured very similarly. We always start with opportunity to ground. That basically means sitting on your mat and taking time to breathe and settle in. After that point, we move into some gentle stretches. And then we move into a more active part of the class where we're usually standing up and doing some standing postures and linking them with our breath. That's really where the flow part comes in. We're moving with our breath. So we might inhale and move our body in a certain way, and then exhale and move our body in an opposite way. After these standing poses, we'll move into some final stretches and then Shavasana, which is basically a final relaxation pose where you're basically taking a little nap before moving on with your day.
Okay, excellent. So you did mention something, and I do want to bring this out a little more. You said you're going to be on the mat. So
Yes.
Is this class done on a yoga mat on the floor?
Yes, all of the students that come to this class bring a yoga mat. That said, if sitting on the floor is too complicated for you, or it just doesn't feel right in your body, you always can have the option to sit on a chair instead. And I can give some modifications there. We do have a separate chair yoga class, which I'll talk about another time, but this one will move a little bit quicker. Maybe you'd feel your strength a little bit more than the chair yoga class. But you do have the option to sit up in a chair if that's what your body needs.
Do you move from sitting to standing or standing to sitting, or is most of the class done on the floor for the entire thing?
I would say the standing part, so the class length is about an hour, and the standing part is about 20 minutes or so. So we do all of the standing in one chunk. So we're not going up and down. We'll start on the floor, move into standing postures, and then move back to the floor for some closing stretches in Shavasana.
Okay. If this is my very first class, I've never taken yoga before, or I have taken yoga before, but never taken a class with you. Is there anything specific that you would want me to know before I walk into your class?
I think the most important thing to know is that this class is really one that most people who feel comfortable in their body could do. If you have an active injury or something like that, it might not be the best class for you, and you should really talk with me first. However, as long as you feel comfortable in your body, you move pretty well, this is a class that could be appropriate even for very beginners. If you're a more advanced student, somebody who's practiced yoga for a while, you could absolutely do this class and have the flexibility to maybe do some modifications to make things a little more challenging, especially if you already have a familiarity with yoga.
Okay, perfect. So I do have one last question, and that
Sure.
last question is, how should I dress? What are we wearing on our feet? Do I bring water?
I would definitely bring water. You should wear any kind of loose, comfortable clothing. We do not tend to go upside down very much. Like if you're familiar with down dog, that's an upside down V. You have an option to do that. You don't have to, but you might want to have a shirt that you could tuck in if you're worried about it falling up over your head if
Okay.
you're forward folding. Other than that, I would say if you're going to wear socks, the little socks with the nubs are really helpful, so they'll grip. But honestly, socks on the yoga mat can feel pretty slippery. So I'd encourage you to try bare feet if you're comfortable with that, or use the socks with the little nubs, just so you're not sliding on the mat.
Okay. Well, Kelly, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time. And just to reiterate, this is Yoga Flow with Kelly Pearson. It happens every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And please come and give Kelly's class a try. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Thanks, Beth.